Orim Sameach.
This is the lighting of the menorah
Holiday of
at,
lights happy. That's how it goes in
at,
Hebrew. So welcome
at
to the
Stuyvesant Oval.
Stuytown Hanukkah lighting. It says it's the 25th of Kislev because our days start in Judaism the night before. So tonight starts the 25th of Kislev. My name is Rosh Hashanah Matrani Knapp. I live here in Peter Cooper with my husband Fred, and I'm really delighted to have Noah Solomon of illustrious fame of Soul Farm and many other musical gigs and Romamu and other things. So thank you so much for joining us. So we did something a little unusual tonight. We let you eat, and now we're going to make you sing for your supper. So let's start with O Hanukkah, Hanukkah, just to warm us up before we do our Hanukkah lighting. Getting ready, O Hanukkah? Oh Hanukkah, come light the menorah. Let's have a party, we'll all dance a hora.
Gather round the table, I'll give you a treat. Stuyvesant to play with and like us to eat.
You already did that.
And while we are playing, the candles are burning so bright. One for each night, we celebrate the light to remind us of days long ago.
Repeat that.
One for each night, we shed a sweet light to remind us of days.
Let's do it a few more times. We just got you warmed
Oh,
up.
Hanukkah, Hanukkah, come light the menorah. Let's have a party, we'll all dance
It's a Stuyvesant party.
gather round the table, we'll give you a treat. Cradles to play with and like us to eat. And while we are playing, the candles are burning low. One for each night, they shed a sweet light to remind us of days long ago. One for each night, they shed a sweet light and remind us of days long ago.
Do you remember those days? It was about 2,000 years ago that this all took place. Who's played dreidel so far? Any of the little kids played dreidel yet? How do you say dreidel in Hebrew? Whoa, wow. And let me see you do a sov. Can you do a sov? Can you turn? Sivivon, ready?
Sivivon, so, 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 Hanukkah, uhatov, Hanukkah, uhatov, Sivivon, so, 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 Chag Simcha, ula'am, Nes Gadol Hayasham, Nes Gadol Hayasham, Chag Simcha, ula'am, Sivivon, so, 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 Hanukkah, uhatov, Hanukkah, uhatov, Sivivon, so, 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 Chag Simcha, ula'am, Nes Gadol Hayasham, Nes Gadol Hayasham, Chag Simcha,
One more time.
Sivivon, so, 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 Hanukkah, uhatov, Hanukkah, uhatov, Sivivon, so, 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 Chag Simcha, ula'am, Nes Gadol Hayasham, Nes Gadol Hayasham, Chag Simcha, ula'am.
Woo! So who can tell me what a nace is? Any of these smart kids tell me what a nace is? Do I hear you say miracle? Was it a big miracle or a small miracle? So how do you say big in Hebrew? Gadol. Put your hands out. It was a gadol miracle. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Haya, and it was Sham. Where's the Sham? Where's the there? The place where Noah's from. Israel.
That's right.
But if it happened here, it would be a po. But it's a Sham. So I'd like to introduce you to one of the practices that my friend Rev Eva Sachs-Boulder of the Shul of New York and I have done for many years, which is a chant from Rabbi Shefa Gold. I did this 2 years ago. And this is a bit of a spirit. This is more for the adults. The other one's for the kids. This is more for the adults, I hope, from a spiritual perspective. The idea is not just to see the lights outside, but to have the lights be kindled inside. So it says, let the flame be kindled within me. Let your love burn bright. I hunger for your light, I hunger for your light. That's the whole chant. I'm going to do it a number of times to repeat. And just be aware if there's anything that's in your way of letting you connect with love. And whatever that is, maybe it can burn off with the lights of Hanukkah and open a pathway for enabling you and all of us to connect with the yearning for love. Let the flame be kindled within me. Let your love burn bright. I hunger for your light. I hunger for your light. Join me. Let the flame be kindled within me. Let your love burn bright. I hunger for your light. I hunger for your light. Join me. Let's do it a few more times. Let the flame be kindled within me. Let your love burn bright. I hunger for your light. I hunger for your light. One last time. Really feel where the flame is. Is it in your heart? Is it in your gut? Is it in your throat? Is it in your third eye? Where is the flame? And if it's not there, maybe this can help spark it in this holiday of lights. Let the flame. Let the flame be kindled within me. Let your love burn bright. I hunger for your light. I hunger for your light. Take a deep breath in and see if you can use the air and the breath and the oxygen of the breath of life that was placed inside us to flame and to fuel your flame in your inner. So I want to tell you about this next one. How many here are Sephardic Jews? Anyone? All right, we've got a few. So Sephardic Jews are not really, the customs are not as well known. Most of you are Ashkenazi. I'm like a quarter and a half and a third, I don't know. I'm a whole mixture. My father was a half. But I want to dedicate this song to Dr. Kohenet. Isaac Kohenet was a congregant of mine in New City when I served there as assistant rabbi. He was from Turkey. And he taught this to me, and he died around Hanukkah. And we sang this at his bedside, and I sang this as part of his eulogy. He was a wonderful man. He was a doctor, and he had a smile that when he smiled, his eyes became blue lights that flashed. And it's a very fun kind of, you'll feel the melody. And this is in Ladino. Hanukkah linda está aquí, 8 candelas para mí. Hanukkah linda está aquí, 8 candelas para mí. Oh, get ready. Una candelica, dos candelicas, tres candelicas, cuatro candelicas, cinco candelicas, seis candelicas, siete candelicas, 8 candelas para mí. Muchas fiestas por hacer, alegría y placer. Muchas fiestas por hacer, alegría y placer. Ready? Oh, what are we going to do? Count. Una candelica. Let me see your hands. Tres candelicas, cuatro candelicas, seis candelicas, siete candelicas. How many? 8 candelas para mí. Let's do it one more time now that you have it. Hanukkah linda está aquí. Hanukkah is here. Ocho candelas para mí. 8 candles for me and you. Hanukkah linda está aquí. Ocho candelas para mí. Ready? Oh, una candelica, dos candelas. I don't see your hands. Candelicas, dos candelicas, cinco candelicas, seis candelicas, siete candelicas. How many? Ocho candelas para mí. And para you, and for everybody. So, I'm so privileged to be here tonight, and thank you for your rapt attention. I've lived in Stuytown and Peter Cooper for about 3 years. My husband, Fred Knapp, who's worked in the legal department for the last 14, and I moved here 3 years ago, and I feel like I've arrived this year. It's taken me a while. My friend Susan has helped me to integrate into the community, and it's wonderful to be here and feel like you're part of a larger community. So I'm going to offer some words and tell you a little story, but I first want to introduce Noah Solomon, who I just learned, like literally before we started, that he's not only from Israel, but he's from a really important place in Israel, and he's going to tell you where he's from, and then you're going to see how it relates to my story in just a minute. Noah.
All right, so my name is Noah, and I did grow up in Israel. I grew up in a little place called Modi'in, which is and it's actually, Modi'in is the home of where the Maccabees, who are responsible for the entire story of Hanukkah, Maccabees were the ones who fought the Greeks and took back the temple, and they lived in where I grew up in Modi'in, and every year they
Listen to this. Listen to what they do every year on Hanukkah.
Every year on Hanukkah, they light a torch at a gravesite where the Maccabees were, and somebody runs from there all the way to the Western Wall, which is about 30 miles away. They have runners do it every single day of Hanukkah, so we got to see that all growing up throughout my childhood.
So this is not just a story that happened 2,000 years ago. It's reenacted in some way and celebrated.
Yep.
But I wanted to tell the story a little bit and to say to you, at a time when our world moves at the speed of light, our celebration of Hanukkah this evening gives us an opportunity to pause with our families and friends and the community to celebrate and to honor and to respect the lights of miracles and hope and dedication. And the story of Hanukkah embodies all these values. Now, when I asked a bar mitzvah boy that I'm tutoring what he could tell me about Hanukkah, he told me that it's something to do with Judah Maccabee and something about oil. I said yes. But I thought, you know what, let me tell the story quickly, because I know it starts to get cold, although we're happy tonight, it's almost 40 degrees. But I wanted to tell the story so that we can understand what values are embedded. So let me fill in some details from 2,000 years ago, 165 BC, before the Common Era. There was a wicked king that Noah just mentioned, Antiochus Epiphanes, and he ruled over Syria, but also the land that was part of the Syrian Empire, which was Israel. He was not just mean and cruel, he was egotistical, and he thought himself to be a god, which is a no-no in our world. He ordered statues to be made of himself, and he put them in all the temples and all over Israel. And he said that anyone did not bow down to him would be killed on the spot. He was creating a religion of Antiochus. No more Judaism, no more holidays, although Hanukkah hadn't really happened yet. No more celebrations. And his first order of business was to do what? Does anyone know? Destroy the temple. Let me tell you what he did, though. He tore and burned the Torah scrolls. He ripped the curtains from the ark. He allowed pigs to be sacrificed. Pigs are a no-no in all cases. He defiled and desecrated the temple. And most people went along with him, except for a Jewish priest named Mattathias Maccabee, who refused to bow down. And where did he live? Can you say Modi'in? He was a pious Jew. He was connected to the commandments, and he would rather fight than to have to be forced to give up his Judaism. So one morning, when Antiochus and his soldiers were gathering everyone in the town square and asking he and his 5 sons, among others, imagine that if this was the town square, this is sort of our town square, right? And that Antiochus came, that there were statues all over. Instead of the trees, there were statues of him. And those of us who didn't believe in him would still yet have to bow down to him. Mattathias Maccabee refused, and he pulled out a knife before the soldier pulled out a sword to behead him, and he ran for the Judean hills with he and his 5 sons. And he and his son, Judah Maccabee, also known as the Hammer, because he was so forceful and never gave up, fought in the hills for years. And somehow it was a miracle, but they beat the Syrian Greek army, which was very sophisticated. So what's the first thing that they did as soon as they defeated them? They went into the temple. And what's the first thing they did, kids? What did they do? Why are we celebrating? What's the first thing that the Maccabees did? Yes. Nice and loud. They had to light the menorah, the Hanukkah menorah. And they can't just light it. You know, we're going to flip a switch in a few minutes, but they actually needed oil. That was the way they lit the menorah, which was always a symbol in the synagogue. And it couldn't just be olive oil that you poured out of your Trader Joe's glass bottle. It had to be a certain oil that was purified and had the stamp of the Kohanim, the seal of the Kohanim, the priests in there. And amidst all the garbage, they found one. And they thought, well, maybe it'll last one night. And the miracle is it lasted for ocho candelitas, right? For 8 nights. That's the miracle. So we could say there are a few miracles embedded in this story. I don't want to just focus on the oil that lasted for 8 days. There's also the miracle that little scrappy Jews, no offense, from the town of Modi'im, who were not trained as soldiers, could defeat a very sophisticated Syrian army. Or we could say that the miracle is that 2,000 years later, Jews and our friends, who maybe aren't Jewish but want to celebrate with us tonight, that we stand here in Stuyvesant in New York City in 2019 and we're about to light the Hanukkah menorah and honor a part of history because Mattathias Maccabee and his sons refused to give up their Jewish customs and their beliefs. It's also a miracle of dedication. So I don't know if you know what Hanukkah means, but the word in the root comes from the word meaning to dedicate or rededicate. And that's why we call it Hanukkah, because they rededicated the temple. From a spiritual perspective for you adults, maybe we could imagine, as we talked before, that each of us is like a holy temple, and that this story and holiday in the 8 days of lighting asks us to rededicate ourselves to parts of our Jewish values and observance. So I'm going to tell you a very quick personal story, and I hope Fred doesn't mind. About 20 years ago, I worked at UJ Federation in marketing communications before I became a rabbi. And as part of that, they sent us on a staff mission to the Ukraine. A little timely, but from a different perspective. And we stood at Babi Yar, which is a place in which the Ukrainians themselves killed 60,000 Jews over a 2 to 3 day period. And a light went off in me. And I said, you know, the other people have been trying to kill us for centuries. And if I don't start to become a little bit more observant or a little bit more valuing of my tradition, I think it's going to die out. So when I went home, I said to my husband, you know, we need to start to keep kosher. I've been wanting to do this for a long time. And he said, okay, here can be the meat dishes and here are the dairy silverware and so forth. I said, because if we don't do this, your grandchildren aren't even going to know what the word kosher means. Now, first of all, I should tell you that we're pretty much vegetarian right now, so it doesn't really matter. But the point is that I'm not saying you each have to be kosher, but this is an opportunity for each of us to say, how do we want to rededicate ourselves to the ideals and to the values of our tradition, to what has meaning to us? It's an opportunity for us to be able to dedicate ourselves to things that are important. So I'd like to share with you the blessings for this evening. And the first one is the same one that we use every week when we light Shabbos candles. And I'll just say, if you like candles and you like light and you like Hanukkah, if you like to do that, I would just say, even if you don't have time to make a nice Shabbos dinner, throw a white tablecloth. My rabbi told me this years ago. Throw a white tablecloth and order in pizza and have wine or grape juice and the candles and a challah. It's a lot of carbs, but you can figure that out. And do Shabbos. It's such a beautiful, it's the most important holiday that we have. It's an opportunity to pause. As we raise the next generation of children who don't know what it means to pause, it's a night of pausing. So I invite you to do that. So it's the same blessing, but Shel Hanukkah. And the second one, I want you to see that we're talking about Sha'asa Nisim, a nace is a miracle. Nisim are miracles that were done for our forefathers. And that's the second blessing. And the third is a Shehecheyanu. You know, we're lucky we had the energy to get dressed tonight and to brave the cold, and that our bodies work to be able to eat and chew, and to be able to arrive in this moment of Shehecheyanu to say thank you, God, for giving me my life and for sustaining me. So let's say the three blessings together as we hopefully magically will, in a moment, have the Hanukkah lit in the Hanukkah menorah. Together, ready, Baruch? Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Hanukkah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asa nisim avoteinu bayamim ha'hem ba'azman hazeh. And before the light goes on, I want to ask you to take a deep breath. Feel the breath of life inside each of us. Feel your feet on the ground. Come present with all of the hubbub of getting the food, and take a deep breath in. And another one. And let's say the Shehecheyanu, and we'll light the Hanukkah, and then some words from Robert Vasquez. The Shehecheyanu. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu. I can't hear you. Melech haolam Shehecheyanu v'kimanu v'hegiyanu lazman hazeh.
Well, thank you all for being here. Happy Hanukkah. Thank you so much for family, friends, and residents, for all of you being here. Our general manager, Rick Haydock, couldn't be here tonight. He's performing a miracle of his own. He's adopted a son down in Georgia, and we're excited for him. We had a little message that we wanted to send to all the residents tonight, so if you bear with me, and then we have lovely resident families going to help light the menorah. The holiday season is one filled with lights, decorations, and gift giving, but let us remember the foundation of faith that guides us through these days, and God willing, through every day of the coming year. We wish you a blessed Hanukkah, one of family, food, and love for each other and our God. Happy Hanukkah, everyone. And I'd like to invite Ian and Emily Nugaborn and their two daughters, Eloise and Sadie, to light the menorah. And thank you to Susan and Noah. Can we give them a nice big round of applause? Susan and Noah, thank you so much.
and as a rabbi, I'm known as Rav Shoshana. And I just wanted to say that it's taken me a while to get my bearings here in the community, but I've left a sign-up sheet and a list of some offerings I'm hoping to bring to the community in the new year. A weekday chant and meditation and song, sort of sacred space once a month, and perhaps something on a
Happy
Friday
Hanukkah.
night or a Saturday morning.